Aquarion. Aquarion Logos is an anime which evokes a very wide range of emotions. The emotions I went through whilst watching this anime went from sweet to sour to sweet to sour. This anime really couldn't make its mind up as to what it wanted to be, but whenever it did find its way, whether it was an accident or not, the result was great. And whenever it lost its way, it was terrible. Ultimately, I feel exhausted after going through 26 episodes that were either good, bad, in between, or just plain forgettable. Yep, this anime will be very tricky to review. So Aquarion Logos is apparently not connected with Aquarion or Aquarion Evil, which probably won't go down well with Aquarion fans, and it's all about these members of a cafe called Shirobako who entertain the cafe's customers in the real world whilst using their mech suits to fight monsters inspired by kanji in the Logos world. We are introduced to this strange setup with not only one newbie, but two newbies. The first being Akira, a static guy who thinks he's some kind of hero, and Maya, a soldier from the dark side, whom Akira kidnaps. And the two just so happen to be naturally gifted mecha pilots. What a twist on the whole newbie gets introduced to the team cliche of mecha anime. No, seriously though, that twist was quite interesting. So then Akira, Maya, and the other mecha pilots have to balance entertaining cafe customers with fighting monsters. My thoughts on the story setup? The idea of a bunch of mecha pilots being entertainers for a cafe is a fun and original idea with tons of potential for slice of life goodness. And the idea of a bunch of mecha pilots fighting monsters made out of kanji in a kanji world with kanji powers is ridiculous. So ridiculous. I mean, it took me ages to figure out what was happening in those battles. And personally, I prefer my mecha to be straight to the point, without any confusing stuff, where somehow monsters are defeated with kanji after being beaten up. The 3D was pretty though. What I loved about this anime, if you haven't already gathered, is the cafe side. In particular, the character development of the mecha pilots that we are given in the first half of this anime. Not only is every single one of them memorable in their character design, and the voice acting for all of them was spot on, but generally, they are well executed characters. If there's one thing this anime got right, it was the way it approached its character development. The pilots are developed through them reacting in very specific ways to very specific situations, and the specifics are entertaining. For example, Akira thinks he's a savior and he's obsessed with that idea, so when the pilots are naming their mechs, of course he wants his mech name to have the word savior in it, but all that is entertained via his recommendation being resoundingly rejected. Once more, Akira shows the most emotions when he's talking about being a savior. That makes sense for him. Another example is Maya. She's lived an extremely sheltered life, so she specifically reacts with either caution or enthusiasm to everyday activities like waitressing and picnicking, making her accidentally come across as some crazy alien. That is how to do character development. Show us specific character details and make those details fun to watch. Yes, the characters themselves are kind of stereotypes, and the relationships between them are okay, but whenever an episode focused on them doing their thing, and a lot of those episodes happened in the first half, the result was glorious. Another thing this anime got right was its music. The majority of the music in this anime was fucking awesome, and it's some of the most emotional and cinematic music I've heard in an anime for quite some time. There were scenes that gave me goosebumps, because the music really suited the emotions of those scenes. The soundtrack is worth purchasing, people. Not all the music was greatness, like I wasn't a fan of the pop and rock stuff, but the classical music and the choral music, fucking hell! This anime could have been saved if it used that music a lot more often. Where this anime majorly falters is in its second half, where something happens and everything that was working, the character development and slice of life stuff, went out the window and we were left with barely anything. In fact, I can't even remember what happened in the second half of this anime, and I finished watching it last week. The first half did have this mild story in which supporting character Sabete tried to get Maya back, which is emotional, I guess. But after that is forgotten about, this anime turns into nothingness. It was fine as a monster of the week anime, even though that is a cliche in the mecha anime genre, but at least all that gave us a chance to constantly get to know these interesting characters. But nope, the writers thought the whole monster of the week thing was too repetitive, so for some reason they got rid of all that, and replaced it with events that I don't really care about. And what the fuck happened with the second opening and ending credit sequences? The second opening used mostly recycled footage, which was lazy, and the second ending credit sequence had the mechs flying around in the real world. Since when do the mechs fly around in the real world for the majority of this anime? Aquarion Logos isn't really a mecha-focused anime. It's a character-focused anime, and the first ending credit sequence captured what this anime is truly about beautifully. The second one's So yeah, this is a below average anime that could have been saved if it had trodden on the path it was on for its first half for just a little while longer. Slice of life anime and mecha anime does go well together, but this anime, unfortunately, didn't fully realise that potential to the degree it could have done. So if you like your anime character driven with fucking awesome music here and there, then give the first half of Aquarion Logos a try. As for the second half, don't bother. Nothing special happens, people. It was cool when they shouted Aquarion though. Just shout Aquarion. It feels so good. 2.5 stars out of 5.